The conflict in the Middle East has entered its second week. In Singapore, although semiconductor firms say their operations remain largely resilient, they're warning of potential disruptions if the war drags on. Firms are watching closely for spillover impacts on the global economy, such as large shifts in oil prices that could dampen demand for electronics.
More importantly, I think the companies are also stepping up to collaborate across the globe to work together to ensure that we remain relevant in supporting the needs of the demand of the consumer around the world.
One firm taking steps to prep and adapt is One Systems Technologies. The IT solutions provider services more than 10 semiconductor fabrication plants in Singapore, including giants like Micron and Global Foundries. Its CEO says the company is finding ways to improve productivity and efficiency, work with more international firms, and enter new markets. For one, it's expanding operations into India this year.
When we look for partners, we really hope to have partners that have global presence. So if there's one region that is affected, at least we know that they have other factories that can supply. Yeah. But with that, we also must make sure that we also have good reputations and credibility to work with all these big partners.
As tensions in the Middle East raise concerns over global energy supplies, industries that depend heavily on power are watching closely. One of them is semiconductor manufacturing. It's a key pillar of Singapore's manufacturing sector, supporting jobs, exports, and critical technologies, including artificial intelligence. But making them is energy intensive. The process begins with silicon, derived from sand. Now, to purify it, furnaces must be heated to nearly 2,000 degrees Celsius, which requires a significant amount of electricity. The purified silicon is formed into rods and sliced into thin wafers. Some equipment in fabrication plants, such as diffusion furnaces, operate at up to 1,100 degrees Celsius. Now, these plants require stable, uninterrupted electricity around the clock, and any fluctuation can affect yield, output, and costs. For Singapore, energy reliability and cost stability are critical to staying competitive. As a key player in the global semiconductor and AI supply chain, Singapore's resilience depends on reliable energy and secure trade routes. And for more on this, we speak to Associate Professor Puay Guan. He's from the Department of Analytics and Operations at NUS Business School. Now, Professor, how would sustained higher energy prices impact the competitiveness of Singapore's semiconductor sector?
Well, certainly, as you pointed out just now, energy cost is a big component in the cost of semiconductor manufacturing. So if energy cost goes up, then the cost of the manufacturing of the products will go up as well. But at the same time, the semiconductor demand is still high, at least for the next 1-2 years. So there could be some price elasticity in that sense as well. So, the companies may still be willing to pay for the higher price in the short term because there is still, ongoing demand that is still not met.
Yeah. Now, given the recent developments in and around Iran, if there were even a brief disruption to energy supply, how prepared are semiconductor firms to keep production running?
I think if you look at LNG, electricity itself, 90% of Singapore's electricity is coming from LNG. So, obviously a large part of that is coming from the Middle East. But at the same time, there is also a certain portion, about 50%, more than 50% is coming from the region. So in the short and medium term, there could be increase in imports of LNG from Malaysia, Indonesia, or Australia. At the same time, if you look at the LNG terminal in Singapore, there are also terminals that are sort of floating terminals where some of these LNG are kept, right? So if you look at energy itself, the semiconductor companies cannot really have extra stock of energy because battery storage is only for a short period of time. But if you look at the energy supply in Singapore, there are some potential backups, with storage terminal, even with using oil for electricity production with oil-fired power plants, for example. So there are some possible backups that can be used in place.
Yeah. Well, despite these backups, if semiconductor production in Singapore were to be disrupted, what would that mean for global supply chains?
Well, certainly, we look at Singapore is a major node in the semiconductor value chain. So if production in Singapore is disrupted, then that will also affect the rest of the world in that sense, right? Because we probably account for about 10% of the global semiconductor production and more than 20% of the equipment manufacturing. So there will be some impact if there is disruption.
Yeah. Well, where are semiconductor investments then heading amid all this uncertainty over energy security?
Well, I think right now, because semiconductor investments are long-term investments, right? So companies are not likely to change, their investment needs or their investment plans just because of short-term fluctuations. Of course, if this goes on for a longer period of time, we may see some changes from the attractiveness of the Middle East in terms of attracting semiconductor and AI and data centers. But certainly companies don't make decisions based on sort of what happens in the short term, because they look at long-term plans. And of course, if you think about sort of this kind of semiconductor or AI investments, these are very major capital investments, right? And it takes place over a 3 to 5 year kind of period. So those plans don't easily change. But of course, if the situation gets worse or there's more uncertainty, continued uncertainty with time, then this could potentially continue. This could potentially affect some of these Middle East type investment plans. For Singapore, I would say that probably it could be not much impact in terms of the continued stability over here and the fact that it's a relatively stable region, and of course the sort of pro-business environment and climate that is already here in place for the semiconductor ecosystem.
Professor, thank you so much for sharing your views with us. That was Associate Professor Puay Guan from the NUS Business School.